Let's bring in the experts. We talk about education system and how critical it is and how the education system is really what brought us to where we are today. It was how it all began, and the person who I lean on for wisdom when it comes to that, he's gotten so many great books about it, The Marxification of Education, also Race Marxism. James Lindsay, obviously everyone who watches this show is familiar with it, but he's someone I lean on a lot to understand why they do what they do. Why the education system? James, look, you wrote the books on it. Why do they do what they do? Why the education system?
Well, it's actually really simple. Children are impressionable. And if you want to introduce an entirely new society or entirely new culture, the easiest place to go is to the kids. Older people won't pick it up. They are set in their ways. They're happy with their lives. But kids, they don't know any different. So if you can start to indoctrinate the kids, you can get around something communists have called the problem of reproduction for about 50 years, which has nothing to do with sex ed directly. It has to do with that societies reproduce themselves through education. You send your kids to school so they'll get educated so they can get a good job. And then they come out and reproduce the capitalist system. So you have to hijack education in order to break that cycle.
Okay, Ben, or James, here's what I don't understand. This guy, I cannot think of his name, but it was Ben something. I saw him. He wrote an article about why parents shouldn't be involved in the education system at all. Now, we all know this Ben guy that I can't think of his friggin' name right now, that he's a piece of trash. But why do parents not see this and get worried? These people talk about this stuff openly all the time. The parents shouldn't be involved. The parents shouldn't be involved. If someone had my son for whether it's baseball practice or school and told me, you're not involved, in fact, I don't even want you to know, I'd be awfully suspicious.
Yeah, well, luckily, parents do notice more than about anybody else. I luckily just came back from Europe, and they told me that woke hasn't really taken over the European continent yet, although they're very socialist. But who's noticing are the parents in schools. But most of the reason is we've got a bad case in this country in general of what we might call, somebody called expertitis. We believe the experts. So teachers and administrators and college professors are experts. So obviously they know what's best. And, a lot of parents don't really want to get too involved. It's too difficult to get too directly involved with raising your own kids. And so you just, outsource it to the experts. And I think that that's a big part of it. The experts know. They have master's degrees. That's what they tell you when you call them out on this. They say, well, we have master's degrees. You don't.
Okay, expertitis. One, I love that. I'm totally going to use that. Two, why do we have expertitis here and they don't in socialist European countries? I thought this was the land of the free, of independence, of throwing the family in a covered wagon and heading west. Yet we have a worse case of expertitis than quasi-socialist European nations?
That's what it looks like. Yeah, I think the reason is because we've just gotten so comfortable for the past 30 to 40 years, and we let the experts handle it. Yeah, well, everything's really technical. We'll just let the experts deal with it. I don't know how finance works. I'll just give all my money to some index fund to manage it all for me, and they'll go do some kind of crazy investing that ruins the world. There's a lot of outsourcing of expertise in the United States. A lot of people not wanting to take the personal responsibility this country was built on, and I think that that's the problem.
What's social and emotional learning?
Brainwashing. It's manipulating children's social and emotional experiences so that you can implant into them various political topics posing as education. It's reframing education to brainwash children in order to, say, accept the Sustainable Development Goals of Agenda 2030 or to become sustainable and inclusive or equitable or whatever other BS terms that they want to introduce into the kids. So it's intentionally using social and emotional cues to get the children's attention, to get the children engaged, and to direct them into things like responsible decision-making, according to the experts, and self-awareness. So maybe, you think you're a little boy, but if you were more aware of yourself, you might realize you're a little girl who could transition. And social awareness, so you have to realize how to navigate with racism and sexism and transphobia and homophobia everywhere. And when you see this, activism today in the news, we have all these student walkouts across the country because of guns or something, because a trans person shot somebody at some schools or at a school in Nashville. And so now we have to have a walkout for guns. What they've been done is they've been brainwashed to go take political action as a result of their social emotional learning schooling that they've been having that replaced real education with political education.
Support the First TV today and get instant access to exclusive specials like Who is Ron DeSantis, the history of FBI scandals, and America's worst presidents. Visit thefirsttv.com/support or download the First TV app to become a supporter and start watching today.